بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Welcome to another episode of Stranger's Perspective. And yeah, it's been a while we haven't recorded any episode. So inshallah, in this episode, we are going to be talking about Qur'an memorization. And this is going to be an interesting episode as we have a guest here with us. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting. So Rukoya, I think you can take over at this point. Just introduce our guest for today. And yeah.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Zainab Abdullah, bint Abdullah, Bisola, and actually currently, okay, probably let me start from, I'm a graduate of Uni Lorry, Computer Science, and I'm married with a beautiful daughter, C. So currently kind of self-employed. So, and I'm trying to get more Islamic knowledge. So I'm a student of knowledge. I don't know if I'm qualified to call myself a student of knowledge, but I'm trying. So that's that. Okay. I'm in an online university. I don't know if you know the KIU, Knowledge International University.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Why are you studying there?
I'm studying Islamic and Sharia. Islamic and Sharia law.
MashaAllah.
So I'm in the second semester. Okay, we just concluded the second semester, so I'll be going to the third semester, so inshallah. So
out of a total of how many semesters?
You said?
I said out of a total of how many semesters?
I think it's 4 years, so that will be 8 semesters.
Okay, mashallah, barakallahu fik. May Allah make its completion upon khair and make it a source of immense blessing for you. Okay, he really knows who you are and what you do. Jazakumullah khair. So we basically just have a couple of questions for you as regards Quran memorization, how you went about it, what your Quran, as well as from me, so that people can have a better map. So maybe they want to memorize or they are struggling with it and they want to like hear what other people like them are facing.
Jazakumullah khair for the introduction. I don't know what to say, but yeah, may Allah ease your affairs. I think let me just say that first. So the first question is going to be like about your journey, your Quran journey, basically. So what is your Quran journey like? We know you memorized the Quran, and from what Sister Zainab said, to be close to completing your Quran memorization. So this is about your Quran journey, basically, and then just give us a general overview for your Quran journey. It's like how you got started, people that supported you, or you can just tell us your Quran journey, whichever way you feel you want to narrate the journey. And you can make it as long as you want.
Okay. My Quran journey. I'm actually still on the journey.
Okay.
So actually I started my Quran memorization a long time ago. Let me it's a long story, but I'll try to make it as short as possible so that it won't take much time. Then when I started memorization of the Quran, this was my, I think I just completed my secondary school then. So that was my first. So after the secondary school, I started reading some Islamic literatures because my sister was in school then. She was in uni learning too. So she do bring home some Islamic literatures like that. So I'll just take the books and read them. So that was my first exposure to Sunnah, actually. So I thought, okay, probably it's because maybe where she was in school then, maybe I could get a madrasa where I can learn more about what I'm reading. So I went to visit her. Then she was on a MSc degree. So when I got there, I started attending madrasa. So in the madrasa then, so I started with Juz Mulik actually, because that was what they were memorizing in the madrasa. I could not really, when I started, I didn't know anything about tajweed or anything. So I was just going with the flow of the madrasa then. So, but while memorizing, my sister would teach me some part of tajweed, at least the major elements that would actually foster my memorization and make my qira'ah better. So then I would listen to Qur'an. Then I used to listen to Mishawi a lot. So I would, since I didn't have anything I was doing, I was just out of secondary school. So I would just listen from morning till evening, and there I started memorizing. So before I left, I finished Juzu Mulik then. So after I left there, because I was pursuing my undergraduate degree, so I was looking for admission then. So I went for remedial. I tried putting in for uni, but I didn't get admission that year. So I went for remedials in Futsmina. So when I got there, because of the zeal, because I was already enjoying the memorization and everything. So I was actually, the person I was searching for when I got there was madrasa. I need to continue with my hips. So I got a tutor then. So I memorized Juzu Amma from him. Then after Juzu Amma, I went to Juzu Mujadala. I think I memorized 3 Jews, 3 or 4, I'm not really sure, during the remedials. But I didn't get admission there too. So I left. Okay, that particular year, I think the way they did jump then was that you would pick a university, I think 2 universities, 2 polytechnic, and college of education. So I actually went to the polytechnic I picked, because that was where I got admission. So I got admission to the Polytechnic of Ibadan. So when I got there too, I continued. I got a teacher, but one thing is, as a student, it's not usually very easy to combine memorization and studying. You have to be very determined. You have to be focused. And when you want to memorize, it has to be something that is coming from you, because anything can happen in your life. You can imagine the changes from one place to another, and how that you have to look for a new environment entirely. You have to look for a new teacher and all that. So it was not very easy. So I think schooling made it a bit slower for me. So I continued there. I memorized some hips, probably 2 or 3 too, during my polytechnic. Then from there, I got direct entry back to uni learning. So I got to uni learning too. I continued. I had a teacher. The teacher that was my first teacher that taught me when I started then. So I went back to him. So because then we had a father-daughter relationship even before I left. Then because of because of the way I used to show this. I go to madrasa like 3 times a day, just to. So I went back there and continued. So currently, then marriage. I finished uni learning. Marriage happened, childbirth, and everything. So it has been slow. But one thing about memorization that I realized is that you have to be determined. Then you have to know the reason why you are memorizing. And one thing is, if you are memorizing for worldly gains, you might get it. But I don't know. I don't know if you feel fulfilled. You won't feel the fulfillment, because right now, like probably 12 or 13 Jews now over the years, so I'm still on the journey. So, but one thing I realize is, with determination, so even there are times that you would feel down, don't lose your connection with the Quran, even if it's just a verse a day, even if it's just with Muraja, even if it's just to listen to it, because there are times that those times when I got pregnant, pregnancy was so it was so stressful, and I had a lot of complications and everything. But what kept me going was, even when I couldn't read it, I'll listen to it and all that. Even when I couldn't memorize, if I could do Muraja, even if it's half a page, just maintain the connection and have it in mind, that be determined that you want to finish it. Because right now I've not finished, but I know that inshallah I'm going to complete the hifz bi-idhnillah. So is then one of the things that also help is having people around you, that when you make friends, because those times when I was in school, the kind of friends I make are people that are also into the journey, people that are memorizing. You encourage each other. So most times, even where I was living, when I wanted to choose where I would live in school, because I lived off campus, I lived in a house where there are other sisters that I know that they would help my journey. I didn't just choose any place to live. You understand? So that when people are around me, when I look left, I see people that are memorizing Quran. I look right, I see people that are memorizing Quran. Those things also help, because once your companionship matters a lot. It matters a lot, and your determination. Then the reason you want to be elevated with the Quran. You want to be closer to Allah when you recite the Quran. So one thing that helps is when you're reciting the Quran, so you try to read the meaning, try to get connected and all that. The connection is just so beautiful that it's not something you would want to lose for anything. So I think that's all about my journey. So I'm still on the journey, and inshallah, I hope to be able to finish it sometime soon.
MashaAllah. I mean, you've shared a lot, and I don't even know where to get started next. But I think I picked a couple of key things, and one of those key things is don't lose your connection even for a day. I think that's extremely important for anyone that is memorizing Quran. And another thing that I picked around that is determination, and I think steadfastness is also another word along that side. So it's important to be very determined, because really it's a tough journey, but it's a journey that usually Allah makes it easy for whoever He wants to make it easy for. So I think a third thing that I feel you shared that is very important is the thing about friendship and your environment. I think that's one thing that is also very important. So from my experience, if the environment is not encouraging, or if you are like the only one memorizing in the entire environment you are in, and I mean you are the only one that is maybe steadfast, it can be extremely difficult for someone to be steadfast and to be dedicated, and to be able to continuously strive for that goal. So the environment is very key and very important in Qur'an memorization. I'm just going to ask a couple of questions from what you just shared. So my first question is, when you first started, you said you started like after you finished your secondary school, and that was through your sister. I mean, your sister kind of gave you some of that motivation. If I'm right, is that right as well? I think
Yes,
your initial motivation was through your sister.
You said?
I mean, your initial motivation to start memorizing was probably through your sister, right?
Yes, she was. It was the information she brought home that actually exposed me to the Sunnah and actually brought about my zeal, my interest in memorizing the Quran. So.
Oh, okay. So the question I want to ask there is like, initially when you first started, what was your intention like? Well, I mean, your intention when you started, is it the same as your intention right now, or was it different back then than it is right now?
Okay, when I started, I don't think the intention changed along the line. Okay. When I started, what I wanted to learn more about Islam.
Okay.
I wanted to learn more. So I was just going to madrasa. So I didn't actually have much knowledge about the benefits of memorizing the Quran. So I was just, because I was used to the way we memorize in our madrasa then, the normal, all these the madrasa I went when I was at home. So the way they memorized then, the way they recited the Quran then when I got to the madrasa, it was so beautiful. I was just enjoying the beauty of the recitation, and so I just wanted to recite better then. So, and I had to memorize it up with the class. So then it was not really about so much about, I was just enjoying the beauty of the Quran. I was not really thinking about the benefit and all that. But when you have the benefit at the back of your mind, it actually makes the determination stronger.
So one reason why I asked that question is there was a time back that I was like introduced to Quran memorization with a couple of people I was growing up with back in my community. I think that was before I finished my secondary school, maybe around my SS1 or something. And it was like the first time I was really in a memorization class. So it was like the intention was never really like the kind of intention. I never really knew about all those narrations or all those benefits about memorizing the Quran, that when you memorize the Quran, this, not this, that. So it was just like, oh, we're memorizing the Quran. I mean, I can't really tell exactly what the intention was, but I'm sure the intention was not definitely attached to something like great.
Remember, one thing I remember then was, because before I started going to madrasa and all that, I'm someone that listens to music. Then I watch this Indian movie a lot. In fact, I'll be singing all those Indian songs a lot in the house and everything. My mom would be like, "You don't have anything you want to do every morning, every day you'll be singing Indian." You understand? So when I now got to see the way people recited the Quran, I was just held by the beauty, and then when I was learning more about Islam, I knew that music and everything was not good. So I actually needed a replacement. I needed a replacement, and the Quran was just too beautiful by the time I spent a few months there, by the time I got home, it was the Quran I was reciting. My mom was so surprised, like, so no more Indian song in this house. And so it was actually like a replacement for all those things I used to listen to then.
I'm sorry to cut you short. Were your parents very conscious Muslims? Like conscious Muslim, or as a then, were they very conscious?
They were conscious, but they were not Sunni.
Okay. No, may Allah grant them the best.
Amen.
That's a very interesting one you said there. Alhamdulillah for the transition. Allah is indeed merciful, you know. Some few days back, I was listening to a lecture from one of these stars that we know. One of the things he said is like, I think I've said this in Yoruba, so maybe somebody can help me to translate it. He said, "Eko dudu manja deninu ikoko dudu," or something like that. And then, like, it is not possible for you to have eko dudu toleja deninu ikoko fufu. I don't know. There is some Yoruba thing around that, but the basic interpretation of that. Oh, okay, you can
I think
go
what
ahead.
Ikoko dudu ni eko funfun tin jade, abi?
Exactly. Yeah, that what he was trying to say is that sometimes, like, it's not every time that you can have like a, how do we translate that to English? I don't really know how to translate this, but I think it's a very important point to make at this point. It's like
that's
light
your
from
background,
darkness, right?
Like
So,
a good child can come from bad parents, something like that. Probably that's the
yes. No, not like bad parents. I don't want us to use the word bad. Maybe the parents that a very steadfast child can come from.
He's actually
a very religiously steadfast child can come from parents that are not very steadfast. And but if the parents are very steadfast already, I mean, the likelihood that the child will be steadfast is very high. So that's like what the whole point was. So if the parents are not steadfast in the first place, so I mean, it already makes it very difficult for the child to become steadfast.
Actually, one thing is our parent. One thing about them is, like my own parents, they were very strict about the way you dress. You must cover your hair. You must go to madrasa. You must do this. In fact, we had programs we go to on weekends and all that. Obviously, they lead to the path and all that. Then I have never seen them. The parent also matters actually.
No.
But at times you have people that are so fortunate that Allah has rahmah on them, and they come from a very bad background and turn out very good. No. So then they would be like, okay, you must go to madrasa, you must cover your hair, you must not dress this way. Then my mom was always complaining. Anytime I wear trousers like this is it, why you wearing trousers? You must wear very, even when you want to wear trousers, wear very long. Okay, you're telling me to do this. So when I got home and started wearing hijab, she was like, look back in the okay, you know how it is. You know, which one do you want? Yeah, even the one, yeah, the one that you're actually pushing me towards this side. So you don't know how much, they don't know how much those things actually affect. And alhamdulillah, they've totally accepted it.
Alhamdulillah.
So they were trying to the best of their knowledge.
No. I can relate to that as well. May Allah reward them and forgive them their shortcomings.
I mean, and I have a friend whose dad is a pastor, and she's actually dressing the way I'm dressing. So
really, wow. I don't want to begin to imagine what they must have.
She went through
right now.
She went through a lot. That's another story entirely.
I think that will be a story for another day. But I think let's just focus this episode on the Quran. So the next question I'm going to ask is, what are some of the challenges that you have to deal with when you were memorizing the Quran, or when you started your Quran journey? I mean, I want you to streamline it to the Quran, just the Quran. So what are some of the challenges, and what are the things that motivated you to continue despite those challenges?
Okay. Challenges I faced. when I actually started, initially, probably because I didn't have any other thing I was doing, I didn't have anything I had to think about. It was easier. Then I was taking like just 2 verses per day. So it was easier to, then we'll repeat and repeat and repeat in the module. So it was easier for the hips to stay and Moroja and everything. But along the line, when it got to some point, especially when I was in school, I had problem having memorizing and making it stay. You understand, like making it like I'll memorize. Then when it's time for Moroja, to be like as if I'm just rememorizing all over again. It still happens sometimes, but one thing I realize is you don't rush it. What helps is when you don't rush it, then you would recite several times. When you're reciting, when you take a particular verse, you recite it several times. Look in the Quran, recite it several times. Outside of the Quran, recite it several times. Then the Muraja, if the Muraja is not strong and consistent, it's actually, it will just be as if you see a particular verse or page that you've memorized, and it will just be as if it's a new page entirely that you've not seen it before, and you have to rememorize again. So that, then being in school, when you're combining learning and schooling and memorization, one has to, at times there are days that I won't be able to memorize. I'll be so depressed, like, this week I just memorized just a page this week. Or you understand? So it's actually, at times it's actually kind of depressing and all that. But one thing is, once you see that, so at times you might lose touch. Like someone that is memorizing, for example, I memorized, there was a time I was memorizing 2 pages in a day. So because of the other activities I was doing, I could not keep up. So I just left it. So it was difficult to actually pick up hibs. I was just doing Moroja. So picking up hibs again, it was kind of difficult. From what I learned, what I should have done then was actually, I could actually reduce the number of things I was memorizing, even if it was just half a page, then I would, or even 3 lines, I would have actually had more things memorized, because all those times I left it completely for Moroja. Though the Moroja kept the connection, but once you pick ifs again, it will be kind of difficult. So that one is there. And
so
I
what
think,
motivated
okay,
you to continue?
You said?
Like, what kept you coming back to the ifs? Like, what was the motivation that kept you coming back to memorize again and again?
Okay, it's actually the determination. Like, I wanted to, I used to have this dream that, okay, my household, all my children, in fact, before I used to have the dream that, okay, I actually wanted to finish my memorization before I got married, but it didn't happen. So, and then I used to be like, okay, before my first child starts talking, I want to be the one to, because my sister told me a story of a guy, then a brother, then she met when she was 7. That the brother was someone that doesn't talk. Nobody knew him then in MCAN Lodge and all that. So there was a day that they now called the brother and to recite the Quran for them, or probably he prayed for them or something. So he now recited the Quran. People were surprised that, oh, so this brother could recite this good, and everybody was like, mashallah, mashallah. So while they were now questioning him, was like, he's an Hafid that he had memorized Quran. I'm like, how, wow. So you're an Hafid and all that. Okay, who taught you? Where did you learn from? He said he learned from his mother. That I actually memorized the Quran from his mother. I was so motivated. Inshallah, I want my children to memorize from me. Then at least the household of Quran, you can imagine, okay, when I teach them, they teach others. I teach other women the chain of reward and help. So on. So thinking about that alone is actually something that would keep you, even when you stop, when you have a lot of, no matter the challenges that you're facing, is to actually to always be at the back of your mind that this thing I want to do it, I'm not stopping. Because there are times that you would be down, especially it's not easy as a married person with a kid, a toddler, and all that. But that particular that reason, that main reason, that your first, that intention has actually kept me going.
No.
Mashallah, mashallah. May Allah grant you wish.
I mean,
so I think this still connects in a way to what I mentioned a few moments ago, right? So I was saying, I was talking about Ikokodudu, right? Like this is still connected to it, and it's kind of connected to the lecture I listened to. So in the lecture, you first mentioned one of the imams that we know. I think it's Imam Ahmad. I can't remember. Maybe Imam Ahmad. That
Ahmad.
Yes, it was his mother that taught him the Quran. He took the Quran from the mouth of his mother, and that really, like, he also mentioned some of the things that his mother did for him when he was growing up. His mother used to take him to the masjid, even though it was far from their house. His mother would prepare the water that he would use to perform ablution because of the cold. I mean, he had to use warm water to perform ablution early in the morning. His mother would take him to the masjid. His mother taught him the Quran. I mean, just imagine, I mean, the blessing of having such kind of mother. So it still goes back to the old thing of like Gokodudu. I don't know the English word for Gokodudu. I just have to keep saying it. Well, it's like
black pots.
Black pots.
Yeah, it sounds like black pots.
White pap comes from the black pots.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So if the mother is steadfast, yeah, just like I said, if the mother is very steadfast, I mean, Bismillah, it's like the probability of the child being very steadfast is very high. Although it's not always like that, you know. I mean, there are things like that that happens once in a while that the parents are very steadfast and the child is not steadfast. It's not like by the doing of the mother, but I mean, if the mother is steadfast already, I mean, it's like a first step to having children steadfast.
Upbringing matters a lot.
No, upbringing matters a lot.
You think the same Sulaim, the mother of Anas. No. He had that much influence on our child's faith and all that too. So, and I think, also this hadith from Rasulullah Sallallahu that when you educate a man, then you've educated only one person, not verbatim now. And when you educate a woman, it's like you've educated a nation. So,
yes, especially for we women.
I feel like we women, we even need the memorization more than the men.
Yes, importance. We are closer to the children.
Yes.
We are closer to the children.
Yes. May Allah make it a wish that would come true for all of us. Like we be the ones that educate our children about the Quran.
And Islam.
And Islam. You shouldn't be afraid to sacrifice anything for the Quran for the sake of, because we know what we want and we know our goal and where we are going. So we should make some sacrifices along the line. You have to make some sacrifices, because I know there was a time I had to go to a boarding facility. Then I had an opportunity of going somewhere where I would get paid. Okay, so it was during my high school period where I get paid and learn a lot. But I know that when I resumed school, my Quran it doesn't go as consistent and fast as when I'm out of school. So then I felt like, okay, this time I had more time. There are times that you have to live social life. If you want to memorize Quran, one thing is your social life would definitely be so low. There's no way, because then I would go during the weekends. I'll go from Friday, I'll leave there on Sunday, and like that. So your social, you have to sacrifice a lot of good, nice things to actually achieve the goal.
Not those old one best. Okay,
so just another question. I wanted to make this one to be very short. So, like, what is your strategy for memorization? I mean, in terms of maybe the best time you memorize, or are there some other things that you do that aid your memorization process? Yeah, try to make it sense.
I didn't get that.
Oh, like what's your strategy for memorization? What techniques do you use? And maybe is there also like a time that you memorize that you find easiest for you to memorize? Yeah, like a period of the day, a time of the day. No.
Okay. The easiest time actually, from my experience, though I've memorized through a lot of time of the day because of my other activities. There are times I'll memorize in the afternoon. There are times I'll memorize very early in the morning. There are times I memorize in the midnight. Okay. But I think the easiest for me so far has been the ones that I memorized very early in the morning, immediately after Subhi. Immediately after Subhi. But whatever works for you, just make sure that the time is consistent. Just make sure that the time is consistent, and whatever time you are given, if it's 1 hour, if it's 2 hours, I notice that if I want to memorize now and I have just 1 hour to memorize, I just make sure I repeat as much as possible. Then I go away from all distractions so that I would be able to memorize it properly. Then just try to find time to for Moroja, because as a mom, actually it's not easy for you to pick one particular time. You might say you want to memorize in the morning, and that's when your baby will just decide that I need attention. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So that's when or other things might need your attention. So, but the best time I think is in the morning. Then I think after then, the midnight is also actually very, 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 very good. It's a very, very good time for memorization. Everywhere would be silent, no distractions. So
mashallah. And of course, if we are in school and we can wake up at the middle of the night to read, we should be able to wake up at the middle of the night to memorize.
When I was in school, I did with my neighbors then. What I did with my neighbors then, we wake up at 3 a.m. I'll call them. So all of them will come to my own room. So we memorize. I use an average of an hour for a page. So if I don't have up to 2 hours in a day, I might feel bad that, okay, it's not possible for me to memorize today. I don't have 2 hours. Well, how will I get 2 hours? So if I have 30 minutes, then I'll just memorize half page.
Mashallah, barakallah, jazakumullah khairan. So I think we can move on to Ibrahim now to like ask some other questions that I ask. So
okay, so let me just ask a couple of other questions. But I want us to speed up the little bit because I think it's getting so long and so much time for that to happen. So so what role do you think the Arabic language has to play in memorization? So do you think it should be like a prerequisite to memorizing, or what do you think about the connection between Arabic language and Qur'an memorization?
Arabic language. Okay, let me just say personally, knowing the Arabic, learning the Arabic language has actually helped me a lot, because there are times that things that you learn in probably Nahu class or Surf class, you come across it in the Quran. Maybe there's some Arabic words or verbs. When you come across it, you would the joy, and that thing actually helps with remembering too. It helps with remembering what you actually memorizing. It actually has a very big part to play, because at times it's when I forget a particular, maybe I get struck when I'm trying to do Moraja at a point. Knowing the meaning actually helps me to remember what is next. So it actually plays a role, but you can actually memorize without knowing the Arabic language. But I don't know, it's not as interesting as having at least a little knowledge. I'm not very fluent in the Arabic language to myself, but it's actually more interesting and it helps a lot.
I can relate to what you said, because I know a little bit of Arabic as well. And sometimes when I'm memorizing or when I'm reciting, and there are these parts of the Quran that sometimes you want to mix with some other parts, like when you have like and or like things like that. But if you really understand what is coming before, you can tell whether it's supposed to be kum or whether it's supposed to be So kum is like second person and is like third person. So those like little things. I mean, I think the knowledge of Arabic can really help someone to fix some of those.
It helps. It even helps in checking your mistakes. It helps in checking your mistakes. When you are reciting, maybe an harf jar came before something, and you are saying probably min Allah, and you're like min Allah. No, it's supposed to be you know you already.
No.
I think even the Quran also helps our Arabic language in a way, especially if you are learning Arabic.
Yes.
It's what in hand.
Yeah.
No, that's very important. No, Jazakallah khairan. So I think the last question I'm probably going to ask is there any personal trick that you'd like to share? I think you've shared one already, which I think is a very huge personal trick, which is like memorizing in group, like with your neighbors and maybe with your friends. For me, that's like a very big personal trick, and I don't think there's any other trick. Or let me just leave that open to you. Is there any other trick you want to share, like memorization trick that people can try out and maybe it can for the person?
Personal trick. Do I have a trick? Let me see.
Special askars that you make.
Okay. I know I don't have. I actually just when I want to recite. Okay, there's this thing after memorizing, I just pray. I just pray for Allah to purify my intention. I pray for His rahmah on whatever. There is no it's not like maybe one hadkar. In particular, I just pray for the blessings of the Quran, and you know, there is one thing that there's one hadkar that our stars taught us then. Allahumma ja'alni sabura waj'alni shakura waj'alni fi 'ayni saghira wa fi a'yunina an-nasi kabira. Like Allahumma ja'alni sabura, grant me patience. Waj'alni shakura, grant me make me thankful. Waj'alni fi 'ayni saghira, and make me see myself as small. Wa fi a'yunina an-nasi kabira, and in the eyes of people big. So I think that verse is when that when I do it with the intention that I don't want to see myself. I don't want to see myself as something big. You understand? So when I'm memorizing the Quran, because at times, especially when you are reading where people in the midst of people, and some people will be like, mashallah, your voice is nice, you're reciting the Quran, you're memorizing how many Jews, all those things. So you pray that Allah purifies your intention and puts rahmah and barakah in whatever you're memorizing, so that you wouldn't lose touch of your goal, the main reason why you are memorizing it. And I believe that with sincerity, no matter how much no matter what you're going through that is trying to make you lose touch of it, Allah has a way of always getting your back and, making you steadfast, and you wouldn't even know it. You just be like, oh, so I'm still on this path, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, mashallah. That's it. That's another huge trick.
Honestly, there's like a big difference between you listening to them interviewing somebody about Quran memorization and you actually being the one asking them the questions and they're giving you the answers that you really are like seeking answers to initially. Well, that's nice. So you didn't start memorization from childhood like most people who do. So I know, and there are some people that believe that once you don't memorize the Quran from childhood, like you are going to find it very difficult to like complete and memorizing the Quran. Right?
Yes.
So for some of us now, like somebody like me now, like I didn't start memorizing. I didn't even know anything about Quran memorization or recitation until I got into the university, and that was like University of Ibadan then. So I didn't have any exposure per se, because of course parents are not conscious and all that. So now I know there are lots of people in my situation, right? And they might be discouraged to even start because they believe the time for them to have started that would have made it easy for them to finish memorizing the Quran has already passed. So is this notion, is it correct to begin with?
It's not at
Okay, and
all.
if
If all the
it's
journey,
not correct,
all the journey,
now,
all the journey I'm talking about now,
sorry?
when I started this, the time I started memorizing the Quran was around 2012. And this is 2022. That's 10 years now.
10 years.
And I'm still on it. So if I believe that determination is just the key. Just be determined. Nobody is better than. There are people that started when they are very old. I read the story of a woman that started reciting memorization at the age of 80 years. Sorry, I'm not sure. I think she completed memorization at the age of 80 years. Probably she memorized. I don't really remember the story, but I know that she was actually very, very old. So it's whatever is holding you back is actually in your mind. So if you believe that you can do anything, if you believe that you can memorize it, and with determination. And one thing is, when you are choosing your companion, when you are choosing your friends, your spouse, always always have the plan that I want someone that, though it's not easy because Allah knows best. At times you think this is who this person is, and the person will turn out to be something else. But one thing is, your relationship with Allah is actually the utmost. So no matter what you are going through, no matter what in life, Allah has a way of just directing you to the right people, and with determination, you just see that everything is just working out fine.
There's even this philosophy I have that if you aspire to achieve something, Allah finds a way to ease it for you.
Yes,
as long as for his sake.
Because
so,
naturally,
I can say I'm like a recipient of that on numerous levels. So no matter how difficult that thing may be, like once you're doing it for the sake of Allah, like it makes it very easy for you. So my main question that was actually was that should completing memorizing the Quran in a very short time be the main goal? Because that's some people's goal. They just want to go, dedicate like 2 or 3 years memorizing the Quran and finish memorizing, and they're like, I'm done. So should that be the main goal?
The main goal is to memorize and for the memorization to stay. Quran is not something you can rush, but if you can finish it in 6 months, it's fine. But when you finish it, are you still going to continue your relationship with the Quran? Are you still going to continue? Ifs is not actually hard. For it to stay, the muraja is the real work there. So if you can complete it in 3 months, it's fine. But you are not supposed to go. You are not expected to complete it and just relax. If you are not doing your muraja you'll be surprised that everything you memorize is gone. Quran actually, it disappears very, very fast. So it's a lifelong relationship. The relationship between you and the Quran is a lifelong relationship. Whether you memorize it in 15 years, whether you memorize it in 2 years, whether you memorize it in 3 months, are you still going to continue with the relationship? Are you still going to hold that? So it's what matters most is the holding on to it and not letting it go.
Becoming somebody of the Quran.
So there you see someone that has memorized the Quran and the person will just leave the Quran. You hardly see the person really reciting like that or doing muraja or doing tilawa. And you see someone that is still struggling. Maybe the person has just memorized one juz and the person is still struggling and the relationship is still strong. So it's better for you to have that kind of relationship than just memorize and believe that, okay, I'm true with the Quran. I don't have anything to do with it. Probably once in a while, or maybe they just call me to come and recite. I just recite and all that.
Mashallah. So the main goal is having that continuous relationship with the Quran, with Allah. Barakallahu fi. Jazakumullahu khairan. So do you mentor anyone currently? Do you have students that age?
People that have thoughts along the line, but currently I don't have any permanent person like that I take. I don't have any permanent person that I take, but anytime I have, there was a time that I was taking some sisters online for Tajweed and Qur'an, but I think the class actually stopped at some point. So there's nothing permanent currently for it. I do have part-time student I take.
Online?
Both online and offline.
Physically. Okay, mashallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. I'm very, very grateful for the information and how you've taken time out to flesh out the questions that we've asked you. May Allah ease for you the completion of your journey, and may He make it always hold on to His rope.
I mean, Allah make us all steadfast, and may Allah make us all people of the Quran, and may He make us reward for it, and may He make it an hujjah for us and not against us on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah.
Amen. Now, Ibrahim.
Oh, okay. You really shared a lot, and there's a lot of lessons and a lot of wisdom that you've shared, and I'm still going to go and process a lot of what you said, inshallah, after this. I just want to add a couple of things. There was something I had from you, sometime back to, I like to listen to Ustaz that. So he said something about Quran memorization. There are some parents, when they send children to Quran memorization school, and the child comes back not being able to memorize the Quran. Some parents usually have this problem with the child, like, why didn't you teach memorization of the Quran? Didn't you see your friend, blah, 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 didn't you see your colleague? But what the Ustaz said is, that should not be the overall focus of sending a child to the Quran school, right? So the main focus should be that what has your child turned into through the memorization of the Quran? So like, what relationship has your child developed with, through that process? Your child has probably stopped doing some of the things that, like you mentioned, you used to do some things before you started memorizing the Quran. But when you started, the Quran pushed away some of those things. There's a verse in the Quran that says something like this. I can't remember the verse, but the verse says something along the line of the Quran taking you away from, but no, is it Salah? I think it's Salah. Salah taking you away from Fasha or things like that. I can't remember the exact verse. But the process, like the Quran memorization process, is what has it done to the person? I think that's more important than the person being able to memorize the Quran at the end of the day. If the person is able to memorize the Quran at the end of the day, alhamdulillah. But I think the focus shouldn't always be memorizing the Quran. I think it should more. I'm just talking from what you said, right? It should be more of, okay, what has this person transformed into?
From what I said before too, I said it that not everybody would have the same opportunity. Then not everybody has the same capability. No. There are times there are some people that they would have to take 20 years to memorize the Quran. There are some people that will take 15 years to memorize the Quran. So the focus should not actually be on because of the kind of hype. Though it's a very good thing, and there are people that ought to be celebrated for someone that gives the Quran. But it's not. It shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the main focus. Because when you hit the Quran and it's not showing in your akhlaq, you are not. It doesn't change anything about your life. No. Your relationship with the Quran is not better than someone that has not hit the Quran. So what is the use of the hifz? So the main focus should be generally improvements. No. Improvements. If you are memorizing the Quran and you see that your relationship with Allah is still there, you improve on okay, there are some things about you, probably maybe the fact that, okay, you are memorizing the Quran, you are seeing something in the Quran every day, it's changing you daily, every time you are improving, then it's fine. It's fine. It's not everybody that will memorize the Quran before. Oh, okay, who knows? Who knows if one would even die before finishing the memorization? So the main the main focus should be on positive improvements.
I just remember the verse. The verse is Inna salata tanha anil fahsha wal munkar. That's what I was trying to remember. So no. So I think we've come to the end. Just one last thing. Your last thing we want to ask you is just generalize everything you've said. So what would you recommend to someone who wants to get started with Qur'an memorization? Maybe not necessarily someone in your shoes, but just a general recommendation. Sorry.
Okay, what I would recommend someone who wants
something that they should not do, because most of the time we are filled up with things you should do when you want to begin memorizing or memorize, but things that they should not do now, like what are the things you would advise that, okay, when you want to start, don't do this thing?
No.
Memorizing the Quran is a big thing. And one thing is, when you want to start memorizing the Quran, you have to be ready to give up a lot of things. It's a lifestyle. It's a whole lifestyle. It's a whole lifestyle. You cannot be memorizing the Quran and be listening to music at the same time. Both they are the conflict. It's not. It can't happen together. If you are someone that is memorizing the Quran, always check yourself. You're not going to be perfect in a day, but always check yourself for improvement. Your relationship with Allah, your salah, the major pillars of Islam. You try to uphold them as much as possible. Just try to have a positive improvement on yourself daily. Check on yourself daily. And when you want to memorize the Quran, it's very, very important you get a teacher. You cannot do it on your own. It's not something that is very important to get someone that would actually guide you, someone that will listen to you. It's not necessary that you see the teacher every day, but at least someone that you'll be giving feedback once in a while. And if you are lucky to find someone that you can give a constant feedback, it's fine. So get a good teacher. Make sure you get a good teacher and try to be determined and improve yourself generally in your Islamic, what do I call it? Just improve, just have general improvements, and it's a daily thing, it's a lifestyle. Let it show in your lifestyle that you are doing something different. And Allah would ease the rest.
Taking time out of your busy schedule to grace this interview, and we pray to Allah to continue to ease your affairs and ease your process of memorization and put barakah in memorization. So we have come to the end of this episode. Anything we've said that is wrong is from us and Shaitan, and Allah and His prophets are free from it. May Allah forgive us our sins. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن. بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن.